Next at 4, you're looking live where animal control is working to capture the dangerous zebra cobra, which has been on the loose in Raleigh. What we know about the brave man with a face guard who's on the case. Plus, protesters in Chapel Hill are waiting to see if the UNC Board of Trustees gives tenure to Nikole Hannah-Jones. We update you on where that meeting stands. And Bill Cosby has been released from prison after his sex assault conviction was overturned.
Your #1 source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at 4, the Cobra on the loose in Raleigh has been spotted, and officials are trying right now as we speak to catch it. This is video from the porch where the animal was seen earlier today, and now animal control and police officers have been on the scene for hours trying to wrangle the reptile. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan. Lena is off today. We've seen a man wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and a face guard going in to try to capture this cobra. This is a snake which can shoot poisonous venom up to 9 feet away. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm has been on the scene for hours. Matt, what do you know right now about where this capture of the snake stands?
Well, Deborah, right now it's pretty quiet. It has been that way for about an hour since we saw that guy going up onto the porch. Let me step out of the way and show you what we can see from down the street. This is Sandingham Drive. This is the same street where that snake was spotted several days ago. We want to show you some video from earlier when a reporter who was covering the story spotted the snake on the corner of the porch of that home, that same one that took the picture on Monday. This all started around noon today, and that prompted a response from police and several animal control officers. They called in the guy who you've been seeing in all the video, and he's working with animal control to capture the cobra. He's the guy you see in shorts, and he walks up onto that porch. He did that several times. He carried up a red bucket and a grabber tool. Within the past few minutes, I've actually learned that he is a manager of a pet store, Pet Mania, and he is assisting animal control with this. So far, though, from what we know, you can see police are walking around, and they have not been able to successfully catch that snake. As we take another live look, you see some Raleigh police officers here. We were allowed to be as close as they were to that house, so just a couple of feet away from that porch where the snake was spotted. They've since moved us back. We're about 300 feet away from that home at this point. This is about half a mile from the scene where we saw yesterday. We were showing you there was a lot of police activity and animal control activity over on Chamino Place. That's where we believe the owner of that snake lived. We have been able to connect him to his social media page where he has dozens of exotic snakes. We went to his house today. He did not answer the door. The only thing we heard from through the door was no comment. But once again, we're going to continue to watch what happens out here, and we'll update you if they catch this snake.
Matt, do you know if anyone is home in that house where the snake was spotted?
We have not seen anyone come or go from that house here. And again, we've been out here all day. I did call the phone number for that house. We had talked to them yesterday just off camera, but no one answered the phone. It just kept ringing. So at this point, we don't believe anybody is actually inside that home. One thing that the animal control actually noted is that there is a crack between the foundation of the home and the porch. And so they believe that it's where that snake is coming and going from. So that's why it may not have moved very far in the past couple of days. But again, we have not been able to get in touch with anyone in that home, so we don't believe they're in there.
Well, hopefully the snake won't go too much farther and they'll be able to capture it. Matt Tallhelm live in Raleigh. Thanks, Matt.
The conversations of Nikole Hannah-Jones' possible tenure at UNC Chapel Hill have escalated within the past 35 minutes. Good afternoon to you. I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center as the Board of Trustees are voting. Sarah Kruger tweeting this. Here's what happened and played out just within the past 45 minutes. So it went from open session to closed session, and several dozen people there in that open session left, and it actually took police to come in and move some of those people out of there. Sarah was tweeting they were expressing their disgust, embarrassment, and shame. And this is another video that she posted on the outside of the meeting and shows just what a large group it is. They're refusing to move back, and so many of them were actually using a bullhorn. We'll show you more on that in just a moment. Lamar Richards, the UNC Chapel Hill student body president, said he wants to be clear, and this is important here, that this whole process, it's legal and standard procedure to discuss tenure and personnel matters in closed session. He went on to say in this message that Nikole Hannah-Jones has stated that she does not not want this to be discussed in open session. That's why he voted to go into closed session. Sarah Kruger now live on the ground at UNC Chapel Hill. Sarah, any idea on if this vote could happen this afternoon?
Mark, absolutely. That is what we expect. The board is still in closed session right now, and you walked through some of what we've seen, but I just want to express that there is still that feeling of tension out here. Things are starting to calm down slightly. You'll see behind me some of the members of the public, students, and faculty who are here. These are some of the same people who went inside to that Board of Trustees meeting. Now, as you mentioned, the board convened and then basically immediately went into closed session. And right at that moment, the students and the public inside, some of them started yelling things like boo and shame. They were all asked to leave closed session. We were asked to leave as well. Everyone was supposed to get out of the room. Most of them did file out, but a few stayed behind in protest and continued to say things to the Board of Trustees, just expressing their disgust really for how things have transpired with this Nikole Hannah-Jones situation. And as you mentioned, then we were still sitting in the room and watching all of this happen as police got involved and actually pushed some of those people out. That was not well received by those protesters. And so this all kind of spilled over into a hallway that is directly behind the Board of Trustees meeting room. And then it was a protest that just continued in the hallway, continued with yelling and just a lot of trauma and tension and just really high emotions. People here have a lot of passion and emotion about this vote that is expected to happen today. So again, the board right now is in closed session. We will go back inside so that when they do come back into open session, we will be there and be able to report back to you on anything that happens. Mark.
Now we wait. Sarah Kruger live in Chapel Hill. Thank you, Sarah. Still ahead, the president of the American Association of University Professors at UNC will join us live to talk about this big decision that's coming up in the next 10 minutes.
Comedian Bill Cosby is a free man. He was released from prison a few hours ago, moments after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his sexual assault conviction. This is video of Cosby getting out of that vehicle right now. He was convicted in 2018. The court said that an agreement with a previous prosecutor prevented him from being charged in the case. Court documents show this new ruling bars any retrial in the case against the 83-year-old. Cosby served more than 2 years in prison.
The chance for rain this week has gone up and a few pop-up storms are possible. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is connected to the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a timing. Kat?
Well, Deborah, today and tomorrow, it's just a few hit-or-miss summertime storms, but Friday is the day that I would opt for indoor plans. An 80% chance of rain and thunderstorms on Friday, but I do have great news for your weekend. We've been awaiting these new high-resolution models, and they are in today, and they continue to trend drier. So we've lowered rain chances to just 20% Saturday, and we expect to be dry on Sunday, July 4th. So let's take a look at why the new high-res models move this cold front through faster. So if we track it, 8 a.m. Friday morning, we've got some showers and storms, especially in the northern part of our viewing area. The showers and storms move to the southeast throughout the day. Still some storms through lunchtime and into the afternoon and evening. Additional showers and thunderstorms develop, but the cold front is likely to continue to push east overnight, and behind it, drier air arrives for the holiday weekend. In addition to the cold front, we are tracking not one, but both of these tropical systems. I'll show you which one is likely to be named soon, coming up in about 15 minutes.
Such a busy day in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Kat, thank you.
Breaking news now. Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has died. His family confirmed his death late this afternoon in New Mexico. Rumsfeld served in 2 Republican administrations, first under President Gerald Ford in the 1970s, then several years later under George W. Bush. As Defense Secretary, he directed the U.S. military response to the September 11th attack. A few years later, he oversaw the invasion of Iraq. Donald Rumsfeld was 88 years old.
The death toll in the building collapse near Miami has now risen to 16 as more bodies were recovered overnight and 147 people are still missing. Daryl Forges reports right now engineers are looking to see what trigger event caused the collapse.
We're not leaving anybody behind. This is going to go until we pull everybody out of there.
Using their hands, buckets, and small tools, search and rescue teams continue the painstaking work of digging through 12 floors worth of rubble that was once part of the Champlain Towers South condominium in Surfside, Florida. Their mission to find survivors, or sadly, victims.
We've now recovered 4 additional victims.
Dozens are still unaccounted for. The commander of the Israeli rescue teams says the degree of damage has left very few opportunities for air pockets large enough for humans to survive in.
These tunnels that we found right now were almost the first to be big enough to enable people to stay between them. Most of the collapse is very, very tight. The collapse was major. We found people. Unfortunately, they are not alive.
Government officials and engineers are trying to find the trigger point that caused half the building to collapse. Past reports, photos, and witness accounts are helping to paint a picture, but it's too soon to know the exact cause.
I have seen some of those preliminary reports, but we need to do a very thorough investigation.
As the clock continues to tick, the odds of finding people still alive are dwindling, but many remain hopeful.
Still 1 week, I still hope.
In Surfside, Florida, I'm Daryl Forges.
And we have this breaking news in the past 10 minutes. House lawmakers voted to create a select committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The vote will formalize the committee announced last week. That committee will have 13 members, 8 appointed by House Speaker, Democrat Nancy Pelosi, and 5 by the House Minority Leader, Republican Kevin McCarthy. However, McCarthy has not said whether Republicans will participate in the panel.
A woman hit and killed by a stray bullet as she watched her son off to the U.S. Naval Academy. Coming up, what police believe happened in this heartbreaking story. Plus, some college athletes can start making money off their name, image, and likeness. An expert explains how this would work ahead at 4:30. And a change today in the fight against robocalls. 5 on Your Side explains the help the FCC is adding. That's tonight at 5 o'clock.